on the Cornell Industry Relations Council. I was just down at Penn State. They spend $700 million a year in research and development. There's a lot of people spending a lot of money, and there's a lot of stuff online. Johns Hopkins spends $1.6 billion a year in research every year. A lot of it medical, which is going to be a huge in the future. Okay, intern at a multinational corporation. Now that's not for everybody. It's not possible for everybody. But you know what is possible is reading the London Financial Times, watching the BBC, learning a language. Okay, I wish you success in your careers. I think you got a great start. I hope I've kind of given you some food for thought. And I did plant a few questions. So does anybody have any besides the ones I planted? There was something at this table. Yes. No? Yes.
When you were speaking about efficiency,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned that you felt like the business world has become harder and rougher in the past 10 to 20 years, and you talked about downsizing a lot, but you also talked about the need for continued efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see the next generation continuing to be more and more efficient, yet not losing more and more jobs and becoming more and more cutthroat?
Well, you know, technology innovation brings a lot of pluses and it brings some minuses. I mean, the minus would be I quite don't have the job that I used to have. Okay, and so the blue-collar worker, you know, it's all about the knowledge worker today. And you have to be a knowledge worker and you have to be a change manager, you know, to survive. You know, and it's not just the people in these rooms, it's everybody, and it's you as an individual, and everybody has to move through that. I think the global competition is there. The economics of doing things offshore are less, and Xerox is moving a lot of stuff offshore. Your X-rays may be read by a doctor in India. Who knows? You know. So no matter what profession that you have, if you look at Tom Friedman's book, you're going to have global competition. So will there be downsizing? Yes, there will be downsizing. I mean, I think that will continue, but hopefully the productivity will outweigh that downsizing, and innovation through new products and new technology will actually create some jobs. Okay? I mean, you know, if you take it, Apple, you know, there's jobs being created at certain innovative companies. You know, GE will try to create jobs by innovation. By getting into new medical devices, maybe. I don't know what the new. I mean, if I knew what the next thing, you know, I could maybe make 10 million. If I knew what the next innovation was, like the iPhone. But if we have innovation, okay, we will expand the economy and create jobs. I mean, there is jobs being created. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of them are in the lower echelons at the Starbucks and the Kmart's. Does that answer your question? It's a difficult.
Yes. I realize. Yes.
Yes. You didn't have a question.
Yeah, I do. Kind of like, how is it transitioning between all your sort of different types of jobs, like financial and marketing to like sales? How is that kind of like, how's the transitions going between each one?
It's easier when you have sponsorship. Okay, so if you do a good job, you can get some senior people to sponsor you. Sometimes there's barriers put up getting in. Sometimes there's barriers put up getting out. Okay, of a certain role. I was pricing manager for 4 years. I only wanted to be pricing manager for 2 years, but they couldn't replace me. And I had to find somebody in Europe to come over and replace me. I think if you have a mindset that says, you know, I'm capable and I have the basic skill set, you should be able to do multiple things in your life. And you know, you start out in business. I mean, that doesn't mean that you're going to go back and be a scientist. Like, you know, I'm not going to go back and do that sort of thing. But it doesn't mean that you have to stay in the same discipline and function, you know, for 30 years. Now, you may want to. Okay, so I always had the belief that there was kind of two career paths. You know, you can kind of say, I will understand everything about a discipline. Let me take the accounting discipline. Okay, I will be the best accountant. You know, and I will understand Sarbanes. I will understand, you know, how to close books. I will be the best accountant, and career may not be at one company. I might move from company to company. Might be a partner in an accounting firm sometime, but that's my core thing. And there you might go from accounting to finance, strategy finance, or you might go from accounting, closing 10Ks, which my wife tells me is different than the Sarbanes work she has. But there are different disciplines in the accounting, so you might expand that way. That wasn't my career path. My career path was multi-dimensional, but then I tried to stay at the core of the business. Okay, what's the place to be at Xerox? Well, it was in marketing, in sales, in communications, in the division. It was who were the leaders? What was their makeup? And if you got ancillary to it, a little too far off, and you weren't core in the business, it was we don't need that function anymore. We outsource it. But there are certain functions you can't outsource strategy. It's very difficult to do strategy for a company when you're living in China. The company's here, Fortune 500. So it's difficult, made easier when you have sponsorship, when you do a good job, okay? When you have some training, okay, in various functions. I had engineering training, then I got a finance degree, but marketing was just a sponsorship. Pricing was a sponsorship. Strategy was a sponsorship. Does that help? But it's doable.
You're in marketing. What kind of advice would you give us students going into the business world how to market ourselves to, let's say, a Fortune 500 company or any company?
Mm-hmm. How would you market yourself? Well, I don't necessarily think, and it's an issue I think of a lot of people coming out of college who are seniors. They say, well, work experience is not quite, maybe some of my competitors have more work experience, other students or at this college or other college have to have more experience. I think you got to market some of your accomplishments in whatever field it was, and your ability to change and take risks and learn. Because corporations, I wouldn't expect somebody to know everything about our business. So my older daughter goes to date, and she has a senior. She's dating a senior for quite a while here, who's an economics major. So he's in the same position you are. Very little experience, right? But just so happens to be a star football player. So his marketing might be, I put a lot into this to get into college these days. Okay, and my younger daughter is a senior at Sutherland, as we said, and she's trying to get into a college. How does she market herself? Very much in the same way, that you're going to market yourself. What have I done in the past? Colleges, you go to say, this is what I've done. This is what I have been interested in. Whether it's cross country or whether it's basketball or whether it's volunteer activities. Did you have a leadership role in volunteer activities? Did you volunteer? Were you interested in something? Did you achieve success in that? Could you define that clearly to me? Do you have plans for your future, educational plans for your future that says this is somebody who's going to come in here and make a difference? Are you excited, or are you just somebody who is, okay. You have to show an interest, and you got to show an interest in the customer, okay? And it's just not the day you walk in the door.